Hey guys, I'm Shar. Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm doing a YouTube series around my spiritual journey to help a lot of you out there, bringing traffic over from my Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram community. But I just decided to share the process, how everything happened for me. So let's get into this video. If you are new here, please subscribe to my channel and let's get into it. So let's talk about my awakening process, right? A relationship that was ending for a very long time that I decided to stay in to, you know, how we do when we're trying to end things amicably. So there was a huge breakup, a huge blowout, and it was like feeling like embarrassing. I remember having to stay with a couple friends and family, and I'm so grateful for that. Finding help in my friend groups, and I drank. I spent a lot of time alone, and I literally stalked this man for like a year because I thought he was just the finest man that I've ever seen in my life. But apparently he decided to call me one night, and I just thought like things couldn't get any better, right? Because it was such a hard time I was going through emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I was just so shaken up. I felt like now everyone knows everything about me. I'm so embarrassed. I have to tell my family what's going on. I have to have my family to, serve people with restraining orders, and it was just the most embarrassing thing while still trying to hang on. So after that happened, I finally talked to the guy, right? And though this is not about him, but I just distinctly remember after that happened, and Lord, we were in for a roller coaster ride. My awakening process, I released a lot of emotions. Number one being crying. I was emotionally blocked. When I say emotionally blocked, I want to point out the guy that I stalked and I finally talked to. I had a crush on him. He brought it out of me, the emotional blockages that I had. Being able not to be vulnerable, being able not to speak up and be quiet, and what else was I doing? Lying, and but just like the block, the not wanting to be expressive. I mean, I literally went through what I explained as a traumatic experience, and no, I was not ready to jump into anything. So friends with benefits was very beneficial for me, and in doing and pursuing that, there was so much that I thought I want to say capable of when I was in a relationship. While I wanted to end things amicably, I was just so blocked. And there was this guy wanted to come to my rescue, and I just was not present for it. I wasn't present, and I was non-responsive, and it was just really bad. So I wanted to speak about that and releasing emotions, things that you like to hide, that you like to keep quiet with, things that you avoid. I know I talk about this in such a way in all of my other videos, but there was so much stuff that I thought that I had to be strong for, and you really don't have to be strong for a lot of things. But in releasing the emotion, it was brought out of me when I was put into a situation to be with someone else, to I mean, friends with benefits, on some level, you share some kind of feeling for them, some desire, which it was very hard for me to show vulnerability and to feel feminine. And so, I mean, I just brought him up because that was a challenge for me, but it also worked to my benefit. I was very blocked emotionally. I was not very receptive, and it was easy for me to play things small and not be 100% true, like, you know, myself. So I played things small. I had low expectations. I wasn't needy. I wasn't demanding. I was very chill. I was very laid back. And the things that I wasn't, which I guess what he was used to, it seems to me in hindsight that he was very patient. I don't know, but we were really cool, and that's just something that I noticed when it was time for me to be in another male's presence. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is not sleeping. So because of the trauma that I had gone through, build up over a number of years, not just that last relationship blow up, very hard for me to sleep at night and stay asleep. And let's just bring it back to the guy who did not live far from me, but sometimes he would just, you know, ask me to come over. If I couldn't sleep, I would come over, and, you know, we just hang out, we drink, we do whatever, and that was that. But there were so many times where I just could not go to sleep. I would be in bed with him, and I would just lie there with my eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, waiting for my body to just turn off. I was so blocked. Aside from not sleeping, it was, and I'm grateful to have had experienced, you know, not been given someone, but to have experienced some kind of closeness with a man after being how I was treated for years. But just the not sleeping, I want to say that went on for about 4 to 6 months. And as you can imagine, going through such an experience, there's no time frame to get over trauma. Like, I can't tell you this is going to bother you for 2 weeks. This is going to bother you for 2 years. I can't tell you the grief that you will experience after an ending as such is going to go from this stage to this stage to this point, and then this is when you know that you've finally reached whatever. It really does not work like that. But I did take to my journal with these things and these experiences, these times. I documented the days, the things that I thought, the things that I wished that I could have done differently, how I could have responded differently. And I was just really trying to hold myself accountable and to see things that I tried to hide, that I had to hide, that I allowed to change me. And just the sleeping, it was the most nerve-wracking thing. And I know that's something I did not forget. It is something that I complained about to so many people because it bothered me so much. I was very irritable. I always said that I wasn't a nice person to be around back then, but just lack of sleep, man, that really, really gets you. Another thing that I had to do with trying to sleep, doesn't matter where I was, home, at a friend's house, whatever, I did all of the things to try and relax and unwind. I would go to sleep, but then I wake up. And when I wake up several times throughout the night. And then it got to that 3 to 5 a.m. thing, and it happened so many times. So many times, waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. And although I was probably getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep on average. I was never tired during the day. But just interacting and being around people, you know, having to be at work and be around your coworkers and take part in what's going on with their lives, and you're going out to lunch with them and you're spending all your days with them. There were things that were happening to me, for me, around me, that I also had to battle with. And that is just things that I battle with personally, and having to go out in the world and deal with those things. And you had to be amongst other people who have things going on. So I was not a nice person to be around. But that sleep thing, it really had me bad. So I remember that being told that waking up within that time of day constantly is the sign of a spiritual awakening. I really didn't believe it. I want to tell you 100%, I did not believe it to be true. But that is something that I do recall happening to me, and for a very long time. Another thing I had issue with was body aches. So the way trauma sets in your body, same thing. There's no time frame on when it's going to be over. I was in a car accident in 2018. And I'm still affected. I was not affected like after the emergency room and doctor's visits, but years later, what it's been 4 or more years ago, I'm now feeling the pain. It's just so crazy how it works out, because although I was affected during the car accident, I was injured, I was fine, like physically fine. And years later, the lockdown happened. I'm doing yoga and everything, and my left side of my body is very tight. It's very tight. It's very hard to fix it on my own, but I've been dealing, and I'm doing much better. But the body aches, my neck locked up in the accident. I was hit on my left side at a stop sign. I rolled up from a stop sign because I couldn't see. And my ex at the time, you know how we do, you look left. I was turning left, so you look left, right, left. As soon as I turned my head, as I'm easing off the pedal, I was hit. And my car spun, and I hit the metal, what do you call it? The median thing, whatever. The metal, it's not a gate, it's not a fence, but it's like the metal thing on the side of the road or whatever. I hit that, and the whole front of my car was gone. Luckily, I had a couple bruises, airbag burns, seatbelt burns on me. I was scratched up, but it was nothing major. So I'm grateful for that. But the way that trauma set in my body years later, for me to finally be affected and feel it, is just, you know, you never think that these things can happen to you until they do. Back to the sleeping thing. Another thing that I experienced was ringing in my ears. Now, the doctor said it's tinnitus. The doctor said that it is tinnitus. I, for so long, experienced ringing in my ears. Beyond the noise that I always had in my head, because there was so much stuff going on in my life over time, to where I couldn't hear anything but just noise. There was no silence. There will be certain places that I am, certain conversations that I'm having, certain things that I'm saying to myself, and then you just hear that high-pitched ringing. So y'all watch out for that. If y'all experience that, let me know. Oh yeah, one thing that did help me sleep when I was struggling to stay asleep, I feel that just jazz with no vocals kept me quiet. It kept me asleep. It was the only type of music I can listen to, was jazz music. I don't know if there's any direct correlation, because I mean, I grew up listening to jazz. I was a classical music major in school and like throughout life, but I mean, I listened to jazz, but just the jazz with no music, it really helped me to stay asleep. And it got to the point where I'm playing on my phone, but at the lowest volume, and it has to be near my ear. I would literally stay asleep. The other thing that I had to do during the day, and it was just a thing for me, I would listen to beta waves and theta waves. So you don't really listen to this while driving, but I did. It helped me, it settled me, it calmed my nervous system. With so many changes that you experience spiritually, at some point when you go too deep into it, get too deep into like your spiritual healing and your awakening and your journey, psychosis, and you kind of get paranoid about everything. You have this existential crisis. Everything is like brought to you, and you know how horses have blinders here. It's like, you know, when you're not living in the matrix anymore and you're awakening and you're actually seeing things for what they truly are, it can make you paranoid. It can make you extremely paranoid. And it's so funny to see videos about this and hear others talk about this, where I didn't really seek community as much when these things were happening within my awakening journey. I really just kind of only went to YouTube and talked to my friends about it, but I did not seek community. And so to say that, yes, you do experience this, it is true. And it makes you want to be alone. I became very sensitive around once my mind started to clear, I became to be very sensitive around others. So an example, I don't want to say I was rude, but I had like a BS meter that was like, I could sense it a mile away. People always have excuses. I don't want to hear it. What else? Just, you know, when you feel that energy is not genuine, oh my God. And you disassociate with the things that, like I said before in another video, you disassociate yourself with the things that you used to identify with.
Start right here.
And you see others around you doing that, living the same way that you used to live, because y'all used to be on the same vibrational level. And now you are on an ascension, or you are having an awakening. I felt grossed. It felt uncomfortable. And in another example, I made a point about this before, being around people that are toxic. It made me feel gross that I used to identify with that. I love to argue. I love being petty. I love playing games. It makes me feel gross now that I used to identify with that. And so those are some of the things that I wanted to mention in this video. If you all enjoyed this, please leave me a gratitude message in the comment section below. Please be sure to follow me on all of my social medias, and let me know what you think if you are experiencing any of these things, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.